So look, here we are at Fruity's Island 2023. I'm on the Elecraft stand. I'm here with Eric. Hi Eric.
Hi, how you doing?
And nice to see you again. Last time I think we met was back in 2019.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Back when you were in Europe at the Newark Hamfest, National Hamfest in the
that's
UK.
true. Yeah.
And that was just when you launched the K4.
Yes.
I think we saw the K4 at Dayton, I think earlier that year.
Yeah, it was introduced, I think, at Dayton, and then when I went to over this, actually early fall, I think it was, right, for the National Hamfest.
And then you brought it over.
Over. It's the first time in Europe, I think.
You brought it in your suit because it was a kind of a prize, not on your hand sort of thing in your hand baggage. And then, of course, later in 2019, unfortunately, the pandemic has hit us, and I guess that's had an effect. So what happened?
Well, the pandemic obviously had the effect of shutdowns for a while, so we lost a little time that way. But then also, with the logistics and parts shortages for electronics, it affected the whole electronics industry, auto industry, all of us. And that was quite difficult because you couldn't get parts, even though you had the people able to work. And so it slowed everything down. We could usually work around it, but it added more time. And of course, customers are incredibly patient because it's 1.5 to 2 year delay on a lot of stuff, and that was horrible for us. But we made it through it healthily, and we survived, which
excellent.
And then we're all doing very well now.
And we've seen that across the industry, not just not just Elecraft, but lots and lots of the same story from lots of companies. And it's great that you're back here in Europe again. We missed you last year, but you're back here again this year at Fruity's Island. So that's wonderful. So I think things have moved on a little bit though. I think you were saying there were some new products or some new ways to operate the K4 that perhaps you didn't see last time. So perhaps you can talk about those.
Well, we've done several things. Of course, the K4 has matured quite a bit in terms of software. We've updated that many times since we released the product in '99. Also, we've caught up with the production, which is important. We had long lead times coming out of COVID just because the orders kept coming in, even if you couldn't ship as fast as we wanted to. But we've now ramped up production fast enough that we've now got the lead times down to very reasonable numbers. 1 week to say 3 weeks, typical after order. Sometimes it's almost the next day if the timing's just right, where we are in our production cycle. We produce several versions of the K4, so we might be making this one this week, the next one the next week.
I see, so it's like batches.
Yeah, we do batches. It's more efficient. But that's gone very smoothly now, and we have a very good feel for what the order rate is. Of course, after shows like this, you get a big burst, and so the lead time maybe goes up a week or two. But that's much better than months. Weeks versus month is a big difference. Because hams, we always agonize over what we're going to buy for some time, but then you make the decision and you want it now. So you want to make sure.
I know exactly what you mean. And I'm guessing Dayton as well, obviously that was quite recent as well. I guess you had an influx of orders there as well.
I'm sorry, where?
At Dayton.
Oh, Dayton was fantastic. Dayton, one of the other big shows is Orlando in Florida, and then also in April, the Visalia International DX Convention. This is a group of high-end DX people. So all of those generated a lot of sales.
And how are you finding the reception? what's the feedback for the K4 been?
Oh, it's been fantastic. In the contesting communities, like the K3, they've discovered it. And now they've used it, a lot of the top contesters have used it in several most recent contests. And we saw this happening at this International DX Convention, which is also contesters, that they were all talking in the gathering hotel where all the contesters and DXers were hanging out. And the guys had operated, several people, well-respected people had operated with K4s in a recent contest, and they were telling all the other guys, you need to get a K4. And so all of a sudden I had all these orders the next day. So the word of mouth, of course.
Well, that's good, of course. That's the best advertising you can get, isn't it?
Absolutely. It was a wonderful situation.
And you mentioned about remote operating. I think
that's becoming very important these days. Of course, both with the ham population, maybe people are moving into smaller homes or condominiums where you can't put up a large antenna. Or they want to maybe just share operation with their friend back and forth. We're making it possible to do that between our radios. And so we've introduced several. That's funny, I'm copying the Morse code in my head while I'm talking here. That gets a little distracting when you can do that. But we've got the ability now to do several things. One, we have software in the K4, which we're showing here, where one K4, it's a regular K4, you could have your own antennas hooked up to it, but you push a button and you put it into internet mode as a client. So it's like almost now a terminal for a remote K4. But the panel acts exactly the same, but now you're controlling a K4 at your friend's house or across the country.
And I'm right.
And we're demonstrating here controlling a K4 from the booth with our HV9NBG, who's our Swiss distributor, has one at his location.
Okay.
So we're controlling that here, and the only thing coming out of the back of the K4 here is an Ethernet cable.
Ethernet cable, yes. Yeah. I'm right in saying the architecture is very much the front panel and the back of the radio are almost separate, and it's like a network.
In a way, yeah, it is inside the radio too. But the bottom line is, you can take anybody who has a K4, and if their friend has a bigger antenna, you can say, hey, can I use your antenna? You hit a button and you're controlling his K4. It's very fast, it's simple, it doesn't require extra boxes outside the radio like we used to have to do on the K3s. And
a lot neater as well. There's no, like you say, no wires between bits of equipment.
No, it's much cleaner.
That kind of rat's nest of wires everywhere. Yeah.
There's always a few. Even though it's a wireless business, there's always some wires. But relative to the remote control situation, you don't have to carry all these extra pieces around. And so the audio, the pan adapter data, the visual waterfall and spectrum display, all of that's being sent over the internet. And actually, we encrypt it end to end, so it's secure. And that's actually like you set up a password on your K4 so your friend can access it. And that determines what the encryption is. So if someone else tries to get on that, we aren't even going to respond because we won't recognize what's coming in. So it's also secure. But bottom line is, we can control a K4 from another K4. We also can control it from a software application. A number of people are developing software applications for remote control with the K4. We have an open interface, and so they can program for that. And if anybody's interested, they can contact us, and we'll point them in that right direction for the information. But also, we are coming out, and we have our own software application that we're doing called Virtual K4, VK4. It doesn't come from Australia.
I was thinking that. I saw the sign. I thought, it's Australia. Yeah,
Australians. No, we picked it. Whoever picked it, that's what we ended up with. But that's on a Surface tablet running Windows over here, and I'm showing it. Actually, one of our little K-Pod VFO controls plugged in over USB, and that gives you a nice knob on it, and so on. And so we're making software applications, but also hardware too. Excellent. And also the third product is the K4 Zero, which, similar to the K3 Zero, is basically a real front panel from a K4 with an I/O board section and a single board industrial computer inside, controlling all that, generating the graphics. With the same software that goes K4 to K4, we just put that in this box. It works out of the box, so we don't have to redevelop the software. But that will be a smaller package, maybe about 3 or 4 inches deep, and that will be, you can put it in a small bag and carry with you to your hotel and run your home station when you're on the road.
Sounds good. And that's the future product, not that just yet?
That's in process right now, and we're finishing developing the hardware for it right now.
Very interesting.
But what's nice is usually the software is what delays me, because that takes longer than you think. But the software we're developing for K4, controlling another K4, because it's identical to what will run on the K4 Zero, it won't know the difference. We don't have to worry about that. Okay. So it's really more hardware delays. And of course, I'm sure with all this, it's still a problem getting parts out there for electronics. So we do pretty well with it, but that can put sand in the gears, as they say, to slow things down. That's always my worry, so I'm keeping my eyes open. So far, not a problem, but for the K4 Zero, but hopefully that'll keep it on track before the end of the year, and I guess hopefully earlier. I
guess with the K4 being very much a software-defined radio, you can update it very easily. I guess you brought updates out for that. I think you said there's been a few updates since the original product.
Oh yeah, many updates. As we added features, we added, for instance, what they call controlled envelope single sideband speech compression. It's a more efficient and less distortion speech compression that actually buys you at least another 3 dB over the older compression schemes for voice. That's a big difference. You just doubled your effective average power without sounding distorted or horrible. And it's a wonderful technology that we didn't design the original algorithm for it, but we implemented it for the K4.
I'm guessing that's easier because you're not having to install parts or take the apart, it's just a software upload.
Well, we can upload the digital signal processing software or the control software for the radio, and also some of the key components in the digital processing, from the direct sampling analog to digital converters through the radio, and all the key high-speed hardware is inside what's called a field programmable gate array, which basically is field programmable hardware. So instead of having to solder new parts in, we just load new software into that too. So it gives us a lot of flexibility.
It's the future of radio, isn't it? I think
both for bug fixes and adding new features. So
wonderful. So that's kind of the K4, but of course that's not just everything that you make. You've also got your KX lines.
Yeah, KX2, KX3, they're still both going strong. The KX2 is an incredibly popular SOTA, Someone's on the Air radio, and portable operation, because it's a very small, nice portable HF radio, 80 through 10 meters. The KX3 is a little bit larger version. That was the first portable radio we brought out of this vintage of the KX radios. X stands for extreme, for outdoor. But the KX3 was so good, people use it for a home station and pick it up and take it portable too. So.
And you've also got the amplifiers and that range on the ATUs. I think
they've done quite well. So we have from the small radios, you can boost them up to 100 watts with our KXPA 100. It's basically a brick with a big heat sink on the top. Works very reliably. Works with any radio, not just ours. Has a frequency counter built in. It'll automatically change bands, recall ATU settings automatically as soon as you transmit. And with our radios, we tell it a little bit ahead of time through a little cable, so it integrates like a single station. And that's how our bigger amplifiers work too, the 500 watt KPA 500 or the KPA 1500 full kilowatt and a half amplifier, all solid state stuff. So those are doing very well.
Fabulous.
Yes.
Eric, anything else before we wrap things up you want to tell us about?
No, we've got our hands full. We always have new things in the work. I can't talk about them or when they're going to come out. We're not bringing out a KX4 next week. You're safe. Okay on that. I've already been asked that a few times. We do have other products in development. We just won't tell you until they come close to reality.
Fair enough. Okay.
We'll surprise you a little bit.
Like you did with the K4 a few years ago, a couple of years ago.
That was fun.
It was a very interesting day. We woke up and found, wow, there's a new radio. That
was one of the better secrets we kept.
It was.
That one worked out pretty well.
It was very good. Yeah. So look, Eric, if people want more information or want to think about perhaps buying Elecraft kit, what would they do?
Well, over here in Europe, you're referring to.
Yeah.
We've got distributors in a number of the countries in Europe. There's been Waters and Stanton in the UK. Then also in Europe here, also in Switzerland, we have Lutz Electronics, LUTZ. They also speak German and sell into Germany quite a bit because our German distributor actually passed away, Peter Zenker from QRP. Ironically, QRP shop, even though he sold amplifiers and things like that they called it. Peter was with us for over 30 years. The people at the Swiss distributor picked up on that. But they've been very efficient at going across the border there and keeping the costs down to people. So that's good. And then we also have an Italian distributor inside the European community up in Barcelona, Carlo Bianconi, who does a great job. Some smaller distributors in some of the ex-East Bloc countries and like that.
Okay.
And of course, you can buy direct from Elecraft anywhere in the world.
And that's elecraft.com, I believe?
Elecraft.com, and that will get you to our webpage. You can order there, or you can call up our people, email them. Our salespeople are very flexible. And we're used to shipping everywhere in the world.
Sure.
We literally, everything can be ordered mail order, or if you want that little extra local support, then you can get local support from the local distributors.
Great. Eric, thank you very much. Good luck at the show.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Good luck to you. Have a great show.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.